And welcome back to another episode of Dogs on the Couch, where everybody's allowed to have an opinion. It does not matter if you played the game you were watching. So you're allowed to have an opinion as well. I can officially take my victory lap. I have never been more joyous, more exuberated in my entire life than finding out the information that has been bestowed upon us this Monday morning. And that information is none other than the official firing of one Kevin Stefanski. Way to go, Jimmy Haslam. Way to go. And for everybody who don't like Jimmy Haslam's decision, or you got something bad to say about Jimmy Haslam, well, Jimmy Haslam is the real problem, Can we get rid of the owner? Can we fire the owner? Well, unfortunately, no, you can't. And, I don't need to speak for Jimmy Haslam, but unfortunately, I'm going to right now. Hey, for all the people who got a problem with Jimmy Haslam and want him to tell the team to get out of here, this is what you do. You get your money together, get your money up, get your money up, and then send that proposal to Jimmy Haslam. So go to work, get your billions, gather your money, get your billions up, and then go present that offer to Jimmy Haslam. And then he a businessman, so you get them billions up, and you present the right, dollar amount to him. He may sell the team to you. But until then, you might just want to be quiet, man, and keep doing what you're doing, because he the one that's the billionaire and owns the team. You're not. So at the end of the day, you cannot like what Jimmy Haslam doing. That's his team. He's allowed to do with it what he want to do with it. It's his team. That's what happened when you got the money. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't like it, why don't you just develop, some billions, offer him a nice price. I'm pretty sure he'll sell it to you for the right price. He a businessman. He'll sell it to you for the right price and then probably just go buy another team. Okay? So if you that mad at him, start working on your $1 billion plan, and then, you know what I'm saying, present Jimmy an offer. But until then, congratulations. Way to go, Jimmy Haslam. I'm with you. He needed to get up out of here. And it's crazy because, and I kind of was looking at it. I was looking at it with a very tight lens, because I was like, ooh, I need to get this second part out of why Kevin Stefanski is not a good head coach. I did the statistical part. I needed to get to the personal part, and I'm like, man, the way things is trending, he may end up being fired before I even get a chance to get to that. Before I even get a chance to get to that personal part, the second part of why I need to be fired. But it's okay. I'm going to mix the two in. I'll just use my personal, reasons for him to be fired, as a part of why you probably shouldn't be sad or upset or feel any kind of way because Kevin has been fired. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. And for all the people who, all these people, man, oh, well, Kevin will have a job tomorrow. He'll get a job tomorrow. Great. Good. Because the one thing that I'm going to hope, the one thing I'm going to hope, that wherever he goes and gets a job, I hope the Browns play that team every year, because it'll be a guaranteed win. So I hope wherever it is that he goes and gets his head coaching job, I hope the Browns play them every year so we can pencil in that win. I hope they play the Browns every year so we can go ahead and get us an easy win, because I know whatever offense Kevin run over there, it ain't going to muster up more than, they ain't going to crack 20 points. We know that. So and with the defense that we got, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. I hope we play your team every year, Kevin. I hope we do. I hope we play your team every year. So really quickly, let's get into some of these things. Here are some of the personal reasons as to why you should not be upset that Kevin Stefanski got his walking papers. Now, unfortunately, like I say, it was a little bit rushed, so I didn't get a chance to put all of the things in here, that I wanted to. But with his firing taking place, I didn't even feel the need to waste any more time, adding more things to the list. I'll just go with these for now because essentially I'm beating the dead horse. And I actually do want to beat the dead horse. That's why I'm about to read some of this stuff. So anyway, let's just go through a few of these things. Personal, person to person reasons. Things that you're supposed to have as a coach. You're supposed to have like these, this ability to work with people, connect with people, you know what I'm saying? To pour into guys, be able to relate to guys, all of those kinds of things. Coaching isn't just X's and O's. That's not where coaching stops. You know what I'm saying? Coaching is also a personal thing, person to person. Okay, that's a major part of coaching. Okay, managing, an individual and their personality, etc. Like that's a major part of coaching. So let's start with Odell Beckham. All right, when Odell Beckham got here, he was a model citizen. The entire time that he was here, Odell Beckham was a model citizen. Didn't say anything, didn't do anything. Wasn't proposing any goalposts, wasn't doing anything crazy like that on the sidelines, throwing his helmet around, none of that old extra garbage. He was a model citizen. Wasn't saying anything out of the way, even when it was clear that he wasn't getting the ball and he should have been. He didn't say anything about it, didn't open his mouth, none whatsoever. Guess what? The Browns fans and media and all the rest of the people, guess what everybody did? They complained about Odell Beckham's cleats. I'm not making this up. They complained about his cleats. Oh, look at the cleats that he's wearing. I don't like those cleats. They complained about him having a watch on. I'm not making this up. They complained about a watch. Oh, well, why does he have this flashy watch on? He shouldn't have that watch on. Why is he wearing a watch? I don't like his cleats and I don't like his watch. That's what the complaints, like that's what we were talking about with Odell Beckham. We didn't like his cleats and we didn't like his watch. Like we were just coming up with ways to just say stuff about him for no reason when he wasn't doing anything. And in fact, I think a small portion of him had actually just embraced the idea of, you know what, I'm here and I can't do anything about it. But I got my buddy here, Jarvis Landry, because Jarvis Landry was really big on getting him here. I got my buddy here, Jarvis Landry, so you know what? Everything is cool. I'll accept it. And I think he kind of accepted that, which is hard to get a player to do, to accept playing in Cleveland. That's hard to do. So when you get a player to accept playing in Cleveland, you probably want to, it sucks to say it like that, but you probably want to like be nice to him. Because it's hard to get somebody that wants to play in Cleveland. So if you do get somebody that want to play in Cleveland, you probably want to be nice to them. Stop talking about their cleats and the watch that they wearing. Like, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Just be happy that you got somebody that actually wants, somebody that's good and then wants to play in Cleveland. Okay? So, like that's what Cleveland need to start getting right in their minds. When we get good players, let's stop talking about dumb stuff. Only focus on they play on the field and whether they play on the field is good or bad. That other stuff, leave them alone. Whatever cleats they wearing, whatever gloves they want to wear, whatever hairstyle they want to wear, if they want to wear their hat backwards, if they want to have big chains on, if they want to have grills in their mouth, we shouldn't be talking about none of that. None of that should matter. None of that should matter, okay? Because I don't see them. That stuff don't be mattering with the other teams. They're not over there worried about Jamar chasing his grill and his necklace. They don't care because he catches the ball, so they don't care. Like it is what it is. They don't care about all this other stuff. So Odell's here. We talking about his cleats. We talking about his watch. We doing all this other stuff, except throwing him the football. It's the one thing that we're not doing. We're not throwing him the football. And, we keep saying every week to Kevin, hey, Kevin, why, what seems to be going on with Odell and woo, and blah, blah, blah. And then Kevin, every time, we got to get better. We got to do better. We got to get better. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. That's on us as head coaches. That's on me. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. And Odell still never got the ball. Still wasn't getting the ball. And again, other places, like, for example, with Zach Taylor, I don't think he's going to let that happen where Jamar Chase just ain't getting the ball for whatever reason. I think he's going to draw up plays specifically and then tell the quarterback, hey, don't throw the ball to anybody else except Jamar Chase. That's who need to be getting the ball. Throw it to him. Don't throw it to anybody else. I wish you would throw it to somebody else. I think that's the type of stuff they doing. Matthew Stafford, he's throwing the ball to Puka Nacua. There ain't no, why isn't Puka Nacua not getting the ball? Like, that don't happen. Mike Evans, he's over there getting the football. They're going to throw Mike Evans the football. They don't just got Mike Evans running around out there wide open and not getting the football. The one place that seemed to be happening was here with Odell Beckham. So bad to the point where his dad, and rightfully so, I'm not mad at it. Now, is it something that, ultimately in the grand scheme of things, he could have did in a different route? Yes. But as a dad, me as a dad, I could understand where he was coming from as a dad. He like, y'all out here slandering my son. Well, my son has done nothing but be the model citizen for your dumpster fire of a franchise. And you want to blame my son for y'all problems? My son out here running wide open and can't get the ball. We was talking, the Browns people talk about, he's running wrong routes. He's running the rogue routes. We don't know what he's doing. He's making up his own route. No, he wasn't. He was running routes wide open and not getting the football. Sometimes we ain't even looking his way. We're not even looking at him. And again, I believe that was the design, the scheme of Kevin Stefanski's offense, because a lot of times he likes to use his best pass catcher as a decoy. Like, he likes to use the best pass catcher as a decoy often so he can throw the ball to the tight end. And a lot of times it's not even the starting tight end. It's usually the second or the third string tight end that's what he'll do. He'll use Odell Beckham as a decoy, have him draw attention to him, and then, all right, we're going to throw the ball to Harrison Bryant or some weird guy like that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of throwing it to Odell Beckham running wide open. So eventually Odell's dad gets upset with this. Somebody creates this, I think, almost 10-minute long video on the internet of Odell running wide open, in the all-22 shot of the field. Odell just running wide open and not getting the football. So his dad just reposts that video. And I mean, again, could he have done it differently? Yeah, but realistically, I understand. As a dad, I understand y'all slandering my child and lying on my child. It's only so much lying on my son that I'm finna let y'all do. Just respectfully. It's only so much lying on my son that I'm finna let you do. And it wasn't like he said anything on his own. He just reposted the video that was put together by some random on the internet, because that's what random people on the internet do. Look at me, random on the internet. Okay, so the internet gives us all a platform. So some person used a platform, and then OBJ's dad just simply reposted the video. And because of that, Odell Beckham got cut. So wait a minute, we cut him? Like, we didn't trade him for anything. We could have traded him for a bag of footballs. At least we would have had more footballs in the facility than we had before. But we didn't even do that. We just cut him. We just got rid of him for nothing. How smart was that? And all because his daddy reposted a video? Well, if Stefanski is such this leader of men and he does such a great job of keeping things together in the organization when they're falling apart, and, having such this calm demeanor throughout all of the noise, that's what they were saying about Kevin and what he's so good at, because they can't think of nothing with football. So they got to say stuff like that. Oh, I think he was just so good at maintaining a calm demeanor throughout such the chaos. Well, maintaining a calm demeanor throughout the chaos would have been like, hey, look, I know everybody want to overreact and they want to get rid of Odell because his daddy reposted this video, but check this out. Odell is a big part of what we do here. He's a fantastic wide receiver in this NFL, and you don't come across guys like that too often. So what we finna do is we finna sing, we finna hold hands, we finna sing Kumbaya, we finna kiss and make up. It is what it is. Odell is a Cleveland Brown, and I don't care who like it, I don't care who don't like it. We need talent on a team if we're going to win, and Odell Beckham has talent. That's what I would have been doing as a coach. That's what I would have been saying. Because number one, I would have been sticking up for my player in a time where he probably feels like there aren't too many people sticking up for him. So as his head coach, let me stick up for him. And y'all leave my player alone, okay? And I'm finna do more to get him the ball. Period. That's what I'm finna do as a head coach. I'm sorry. Person to person, personal relationship. That's what I'm finna do so that way I can keep my number one receiver locked in and keep his confidence high and ready to go. Instead, we scapegoated them. We said we'd be better off. They convinced us. Stefanski and the Browns media convinced us that we would be better off without Odell Beckham and instead having Rashard Hollywood practice squad Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, respectfully, tell me what Rashard Hollywood practice squad Higgins or Donovan Peoples-Jones tell me anything that they did. Okay, that's what I thought. Because they didn't do anything. Absolutely nothing. They did nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only thing they did is they had that one good game, I think, against the Bengals. The game right after we got rid of Odell. They had a great game that game, and it did nothing else for the rest of their careers. We never heard about Donovan Peoples-Jones again, and he went over there to the Lions, where the Lions have worked out with a bunch of different people, but didn't work out with Donovan Peoples-Jones. Didn't work out with him. Where's Rashard practice squad Hollywood Higgins? These are the guys that we were told were better for us than Odell Beckham. And then, of course, once we extradited Odell Beckham and cut him and got absolutely nothing for him because we just had to get him out of here because, oh, my God, he's a cancer to the locker room. We can't have that around Kevin. That ticks off Jarvis Landry. Now Jarvis Landry is disgruntled. Now he wants out. Because he's seen what happened. He's seen the way that y'all just did his best friend. So not only is like I did all this to get my best friend here, now it's a rift between us because y'all dogged him. I told him that this was a good situation for him. I bring him here and then y'all get acting crazy. Now y'all done dogged him. Now I don't want to be here because you playing with me too. You playing with my name now. So now Odell Beckham leaves disgruntled. Jarvis Landry leaves disgruntled. Mind you, when Odell Beckham leaves, people can say whatever they want to say about what his numbers were. But he left, went to the Rams, and won a Super Bowl. That's what he did. He ended up winning the Super Bowl. So you can say what you want to say. At the end of the day, the goal is winning, if I'm not mistaken. The goal is to win games. That's what the goal is, to win games in the NFL. So respectfully, what the argument used to be about Odell, they'd be like, oh, well, he only had 5 catches for 52 yards. It wasn't like he had 10 catches for 100 yards. I mean, take it from a guy who played receiver. I'd rather have 5 catches and 52 yards and 1 touchdown. And 1 touchdown in a win than to have 15 catches for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns in a loss. And if you're the kind of player who would rather have 15 catches, 280 yards, and 3 touchdowns and a loss, I don't want you on my team. Because you care more about your individual statistics than you do about team wins. And last I checked, football is all-encompassing of a team sport. It's the most team sport of all team sports. So if you're a guy who would rather have big numbers in a loss than small or mediocre numbers in a win, then I'm sorry. Football probably isn't the game for you, buddy. And if it is, I just don't want you to be on my team. Go to another team with that loser's mentality, okay? Because all you care about is yourself. So, again, we extradited these talented wide receivers, saying that we would be okay with Rashard Hollywood practice squad Higgins, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then lo and behold, well, we weren't okay with those guys. Okay, and we ended up having to go get, we ended up having to make a trade to get Amari Cooper, you know what I'm saying, and, to get Jerry Jeudy to, get the wide receiver room back being somewhat worthy, okay? Because we ran the talented guys out of town. Okay. Also, David Njoku. This was a thing. Let me make sure. Let me bring it up. Let me play it because this was confirmed by Kevin himself. And then it's like when Kevin says this about David Njoku, I also wonder, how many other individuals this could possibly, apply to. Because again, Kevin has always done a good job of never saying anything about anything. And one of the telltale signs that he was getting ready to be fired, he started to show more emotion and started to open up and talk about stuff that he ain't never talked about a day in his life since he been here. So here is Kevin kind of speaking about David Njoku, you know what I'm saying, and they quote unquote relationship when Kevin first got here.
For a long time. What has he meant to you? What's meant to his organization?
Yeah, I think you guys have talked to Dave over the years, and he and I have a very unique relationship. He thinks I didn't like him when I first got here, which is not true. I just told him the truth, and he didn't like that. But to watch him mature and become a leader, the energy he brings in the building, the unbelievable plays that he's made.
Okay, I don't want to hear no more, Kevin. Sorry. But again, here this is Kevin himself saying, oh yeah, he thinks that I don't like him when I first got here. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't think that for no reason. He's like, well, I told him the truth and he didn't like it. Well, what did you say to him? You might have said something disrespectful. You might have said something weird. We honestly don't know, Kevin, because you be saying stuff, it be, because we have a very unique relationship. Well, you seem to have a unique relationship with everybody. You had a unique relationship with Odell Beckham. You had a unique relationship with Baker Mayfield. You had a unique relationship with Amari Cooper. You had a unique relationship with Kareem Hunt. You had these unique relationships with all these people that seem to be disgruntled, and you call them unique relationships. So I don't know, maybe it's something about the way you talking to him or something that you saying to him or something that you might not be saying to him that's kind of rubbing them the wrong way. And I can see if it's one or two players, but it's quite a list of players that you had these quote unquote unique relationships with. And all of this, people thinking that you don't like them. That's pretty, that's kind of alarming if you asking me. That you giving off that vibe, like immediately. I wouldn't want a coach giving that vibe off to me immediately, just coming at me like he just don't like me. Like, what player is going to want to play hard for that? You know what I'm saying? They'll play hard for a contract. They'll play hard for their teams. That's another thing. They say, oh, they play hard for Kevin. It's like, no, if you ever been in the football locker room, you play hard for your brothers. Okay? Or you could play hard for your coordinator. It don't necessarily have to be the head coach. Because at the end of the day, when I go out there, my film is going to be my film. So if I go out there and I'm hot dogging it, like, I don't want to play hard for my coach, so I'm going to hot dog it. Okay, well, that bad film is going to be on me. It's not going to be on the coach. They're going to be looking at the film like, look at this guy hot dogging. We don't want him on our team. Let him stay over there with that trash team. So why would I be doing that? Why would I be putting bad tape out? Like, I'm not about to put this bad tape out there. Why would I do that? I'm not doing that. Sorry. So again, David Njoku, that was around the time that he, questioned, but he was requesting up out of here. He didn't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? And then again, like I said, that you should have did with Odell Beckham. Well, with David Njoku, you was like, nah, bro, we gonna finna work this out. Ironically, David Njoku is a tight end, and we know Kevin Stefanski loves tight ends. So I could see why he didn't want David Njoku to leave, because he loves tight ends. So it's like, oh, no. A tight end wants to get out here. Oh, no, we got to make this guy happy. I need tight ends to run my offense. Pause. I need these tight ends. I love tight ends. That's the staple of my offense is the tight end. So I could see why he didn't want David Njoku out here, and we was able to make that work. Other players, Zadarius Smith was disgruntled and was happy when he got away from here and got over there to Detroit. He was like, it was taking too long for him to get up out of here. He couldn't wait. Kareem Hunt was ticked off that he wasn't getting carries while he was here. He couldn't understand why in some games his final carry of the game would occur in the middle of the third quarter, and then we end up losing the game. And then Kareem Hunt feels like, well, man, if you just had gave me the ball a little bit more, man, I feel like I could have helped give us a chance to win. And rightfully so, because respectfully, when we got rid of Kareem Hunt and we deemed him not to be, I guess, serviceable anymore, he went on to go and be picked up by the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they went on to the Super Bowl. They ended up losing. Last year. They ended up losing, but even still, he went to the Super Bowl. So a guy that we deemed not being good here was the starting running back on the Super Bowl team with Patrick Mahomes. Like the Kansas City Chiefs, the best team of best teams at that time, or the second best because they didn't win the Super Bowl. They deemed Kareem Hunt to be good enough. Stefanski, if you a coach and a person's coach, and I love Kareem Hunt, and I know his talent, and whoop, 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 and I've built this relationship with this guy over this amount of years, and he means something to me, and whoop, 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 and he's a person, I got this relationship, we got this unique relationship, why wouldn't I want him around? Why? Especially when he helped save my butt in 2023 and 2024. He helped save my butt. So like, what are we doing here? Why wouldn't I afford him another chance? Same thing with Nick Chubb. We got rid of both of these guys for Pierre Strong and Jerome Ford. What are we talking about here? And then we turn around and be like, oh, we don't have any talent. Well, look at all the guys that we're getting rid of. Due to Kevin not having these, due to Kevin having these unique relationships with people. You know what I'm saying? And him not standing up and taking a stance for any player. You know what I'm saying? Unless the player's a tight end. But these other guys who were clearly talented, he ain't banging the table like, nah, we can't get rid of Odell. I need talent on this roster. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying that. He's like, oh yeah, let's get rid of him. We be better off without him. I got Donovan Peoples-Jones. The analytics say that Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins are great receivers. So we're going to go with that. Okay, cool. And then how did it work out for you? Oh, that's right. It didn't work out. Juan Thornhill was another guy. He wasn't that great when he was here, but even still, it's just like, none of these people, all these people that I mentioned, Amari Cooper, all these people that I mentioned, when they get away from Cleveland, they never have anything good to say about Cleveland. And my thing is this: if Kevin was this great head coach or anything like that, it's like, it wouldn't be this when people get away from here, they'd be like, yes, woohoo, I got up out of there. Like, it wouldn't be like that. And even if it was, they would be like, hey, I'm glad, I'm sad that I had to leave Kevin, you know what I'm saying? But I'm happy for this new opportunity. But Kevin was a heck of a coach, man. I love that guy. He was so great to me. He always cared about me, blah, 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 blah. You don't hear any of that. You just hear, I am so happy that I got away from Cleveland. Glad I'm not there anymore. More boneheaded stuff that Kevin did. He fired Alex Van Pelt, Stump Mitchell, who was your running backs coach, and Bill Callahan was your offensive line coach, okay? Fired these three guys after the 2023 season, the magical Joe Flacco season. So after you had a magical season and made the playoffs, you fired three coaches. You fired the offensive coordinator and Alex Van Pelt. You fired the running back coach, Stump Mitchell. You fired Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach, after a winning season. Okay, that's pretty dumb. Only to end up replacing those same positions the next 2 years. So you fired them, just the new people that you hired, you fired them and replaced them with more people. So clearly you didn't work it out. You had it right, and then what you had it right with, you replaced it for no reason, and then had to replace it again because you replaced it for no reason. Mind you, while we've replaced three of these other coaches, Bubba Ventrone still has a job. Worst special teams coach could be in the history of the NFL. But we know he's been the worst at least the past 2 seasons. Somehow, he still got a job, though. Bubba Ventrone. Even if upper management was telling me to keep him, me as a coach, I would have snuck and fired him on my own. And then they would have just had, upper management would have just had to be mad at me. Okay? But I'd have been like, hey, well, I'm not about to keep putting this on my jacket because everybody think that I'm still keeping him here. And since I can't open my mouth and say that it's y'all, I had to sneak and fire him because I'm not about to keep putting that on my jacket. So you fire coaches except the ones that you should fire. That's another personal thing with Kevin Stefanski that ain't no good. Okay, you played Baker Mayfield hurt, so you might have sabotaged him. We don't know. Again, Baker's one of those guys that you had a unique relationship with. We couldn't really tell if you like Baker, if you didn't like Baker. Some people say you did like Baker, other people say you didn't like Baker. Because if you did like Baker, why would you keep trotting him out there hurt like that, knowing that he's not playing his best because he's hurt? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you be like, hey, Baker, look, I understand the fight. I appreciate it. I appreciate the grit and everything like that. But I have to save you from yourself. I care too much about you as a quarterback to let you ruin either ruin your body because you could just mess your body up, or ruin, your career or your legacy. People looking at you thinking that this is who you really are, and that's not who you really are. So I got to save you from yourself, Baker. Instead, nope, he kept proudly trotting him out there when we could all see that the kid was hurt. Kept proudly trotting him out there just to turn around and get rid of him. And then we pick up Deshaun Watson. So you probably sabotaged Baker Mayfield, okay? So I'm not just using that with Shedeur Sanders. You probably sabotaged Baker Mayfield. Can't really tell if you wanted the guy or not. Judged by Baker Mayfield's moxie and stuff like that, I don't think he's the kind of guy that you wanted. You like real mild, meek-mannered people like yourself. That's what you like, Kevin. So I think Baker Mayfield had a little too much pizzazz for you. I don't think you liked all that pizzazz that he had, so I think you would have rather, pick somebody else. So then we get into the Deshaun Watson. Now, I always felt like it was clear and concise that you didn't want Deshaun Watson, but people tried to argue that you did for some, reason. Well, now, when heads get to rolling, stuff starts, what I'm saying, coming out. Like things start getting talked about, if you will. So now that the ball done started rolling, let's kind of hear what some of the people, what they're hearing. I was, from what I heard, this was the case with, with the Deshaun Watson. So let's hear now what the narrative is about what Kevin Stefanski's feelings were with Deshaun Watson initially.
If Kevin Stefanski hits the market, the Giants will be the first call that they make. They'll call him. I think he'll get a job like that instantly. So I don't know if he wants out of there. If I were him and I could get the Giants job and I can get a chance to have Jackson Dart instead of what he has there in Cleveland, I'm out. And sometimes it just runs its course a little bit, by the way. Sometimes it gets stale. And the organization has made some bad decisions going back to Deshaun Watson. It's the worst trade in the history of the National Football League, and it's crippled that franchise. And so from what I was told, he didn't want that trade made. And so he was saddled with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. It didn't work. And now they have that mega contract. They gave up all those drafts.
So again, here's the problem with that, okay? Because it's ironic that it's coming out now, but again, some of us have had those thoughts for I don't know how long. This is my thing. A good head coach, I'm not so much looking at a quarterback and who he is as a person. I'm looking at who he is as a player. For example, Aaron Rodgers is a crappy person. He's a crappy person, okay? He's always been a crappy person. But he could throw the heck out of a football. And that, in turn, led to winning football games. So, ideally, most people didn't care about Aaron Rodgers being a crappy person. Because, for the most part, they don't deal with him in his everyday life. They just watching him play football. Like, I don't want to go home and be in your house with you and see how you operate with your wife and kids. I don't care about that. I care about, are you showing up to work? And then when you show up to work, are you giving maximum effort? And then on Sunday, when it's time to perform, are you performing? That's what I care about. I don't care about your gold chains. I don't care about your moxie or your attitude, or if I feel like you shouldn't celebrate after you score a touchdown. I don't care about any of that. How are you performing on the football field? That's what concerns me. How are you performing on the football field? That's what concerns me. So again, I believe that you was just personally sabotaging Deshaun Watson, because the first thing I would have did is got with Deshaun. Hey, Deshaun, what do you like? What do you like? Because over there, with what you was doing over there, I saw the type of quarterback that you was. But instead, Kevin wanted to bring here and mold him. I remember when they was talking about, their meetings, when they first started talking with each other. Oh, because Deshaun was saying this, Kevin's showing me some things that I could possibly do better. How he could hide the ball better when he's doing his play actions and stuff like this ridiculous analytical crap. When what Kevin probably should have been doing is getting with him and saying, hey, what's your favorite plays that you like to run? I'm going to get them put in the offensive system immediately. Tell me about 15 to 20 plays that you feel like are your bread and butter, so I can make sure that we call, a nice portion of these plays every game. We're going to mix them up, but I need to make sure that we getting some of what you feel like your bread and butter plays are. We need to be getting these in every game. We need to be doing this. Instead, Kevin wanted to force Deshaun into his system. And then after a couple years of that not working, Deshaun Cat started to be like, hey, man, look, I really don't like this system. I really want to just run, you know what I'm saying, some stuff that's more conducive with my style of play. Of course, Kevin don't like that. Of course he doesn't, okay? But he's like, okay, well, you know what? Since upper management is going to force me to do this, well, let me bring in Ken Dorsey and pretend like we fixing an offense around Deshaun. This is my thing. And I said this then. When you brought Dorsey in to fix that offense around Deshaun and what he likes to do, you also should have let Dorsey call the plays for him. You should have did that because you were the one who was still calling the plays for Deshaun, and Deshaun looked frustrated when you were calling the plays. Sometimes he was looking like, what the heck kind of play is this that we're running? What is this? What kind of play design is this? And then you mix the terrible play designs in with the fact that the offensive line had gotten older, so they blocking wasn't really as good. Nick Chubb had gotten older and had gotten hurt, so he wasn't, you couldn't rely on Nick Chubb the same way you used to. And you forget that you ran Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry out of town. David Njoku, you ticked him off, so he kind of, is here. Maybe he want to be here, maybe he don't. You started ticking off Amari Cooper. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Jeudy turns out to be what Jerry Jeudy is, you know what I'm saying? Which, he a diva without the skills to be a diva. So you got all of this other, you got all this other stuff going on. Mind you, the play caller is calling whatever kind of weird plays that he's calling for Deshaun Watson. Like I couldn't wrap my head around some of the stuff that he was calling reverse plays. The very first game after Deshaun came back from injury from hurting his shoulder, and I got it recorded on my phone, he called a reverse with Deshaun Watson as the lead blocker. That might be the dumbest play call that I've ever seen in the history of football. Outside of that 4th and 1 jet sweep that he ran with Cedric Tillman, the slowest wide receiver that we have. They say Cedric Tillman runs like a tight end. He's not fast and he can't create separation. Well, why would you be running a jet sweep with that guy? You run jet sweeps with fast people. Like, that's what you do. Hence the term jet sweep. You run those with fast people, not slow people. Cedric Tillman is not fast. He runs a 4.54. You don't run jet sweeps with people that run 4.54. You need 4.4 speed to be sub 4.4 to be running jet sweeps. You don't run those with 4.5 speed guys. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen, man. So again, I believe you had something to do with Watson because you didn't like him. I don't think that you liked him. I don't think you ever did. And then especially when he told you that your offense was trash, your baby, because your offense is your baby. Your offense means more to you than anything else. So especially when he told you he ain't like that offense that he wanted to run, I think you made it your mission to be like, oh yeah, all right, well, I'm going to make this look so bad that we ain't going to have no choice but to go back to my system. I'm going to make this look so terrible that we ain't going to have no choice but to go back to my system. So yeah, I think you played part in why Watson looked as bad as he looked, okay? Another player, Jadeveon Clowney, was left here disgruntled, you know what I'm saying? I made sure I had to document that. Jameis Winston. When we brought Jameis Winston in, Jameis Winston was brought in here. He had the idea he wanted to run your system, Kevin. He was in love with he like, oh, this fits my play style. This is exactly what I love to do. Play action up under center. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Kevin, I can't get there. I can't wait to get there and work with you, Kevin. Ooh, ooh, ooh. This is why he was brought in. Jameis Winston was to work with Kevin Stefanski. Well, let's see how this went. Well, when Deshaun Watson was the quarterback, he wouldn't let Ken Dorsey call the plays for him, and Dorsey was brought here to draw up stuff for Watson. But Stefanski was like, no, I'm still going to call the plays for Watson. I'm still going to call the plays. Watson looks terrible. Okay. Watson gets hurt. So now we have to go to Jameis Winston. So Jameis Winston clamoring. He like, ooh, yeah, I get to work with Stefanski. Play action under center. I'm about to be killing it. This is the offense that I like to run. So he went down to Kevin's office. Hey, Kevin, what's up, man? What we about to work on? What we about to do? Kevin looked over like, yeah, hey, check this out. I know I ain't tell you or nobody else, and this is a fact. He didn't. The player said that they found out the same time as everybody else. So Kevin said to Jameis Winston, yeah, hey, check this out. You're not about to be working with me, big dog. You about to be working with Dorsey. So you're going to have to get up on my office. You need to go talk to him. I trust our guys, though, so I trust Dorsey. He going to get you together. Jameis Winston like, what? But I came here to work with you. Kevin like, hey, man, I told you Dorsey is the one who's calling the plays. Go see him. Close the door on Jameis Winston. So the quarterback that was brought here to run your stuff, you don't want to call the plays for him. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you then turn the headset, the play calling over to Ken Dorsey to call plays for a quarterback that he didn't come here for? And the quarterback that came here for you, you don't want to call plays for him. That is, stupid. It's backwards. It's very, very, very stupid. It's backwards. It's very stupid. And then lo and behold, when Dorsey and Winston get together, we weren't necessarily winning no games, but the offense was somehow able to move and they was able to score points, something that the offense wasn't doing when you was calling the plays, Kevin. So that's all I'm saying, okay? Jerry Jeudy was a Pro Bowler somehow up under Ken Dorsey with Jameis Winston throwing him the ball. And then you fast forward next year with you back calling the plays, Jerry Jeudy looked like a pumpkin. So, again, you bring Jameis Winston in just to essentially ignore him. Like, you don't even pay him no mind for real. And the whole reason that he came here was for you. Like, that's not a great... That's why you had these unique relationships with people. Because you do unique, weird stuff with them. So, like, if I'm Jameis Winston, I'm looking at you with the side eye, bro. Like, I came here for you, and you ignoring me, pushing me off, and sending me to somebody else that I didn't come here for? He came here for a whole nother quarterback. He didn't come here for me. I came here for you, dude, and you telling me to get out your face? All right, bro, this is crazy. This is stupid. Let's take another quarterback, DTR. The guy that was, drafted up under your watch. Kevin, this was a guy you felt like you could develop. Well, and within his development, what you did with DTR is you wouldn't tell DTR that he was starting until the Saturday before the game. So 24 hours, maybe not even a full 24 hours, because the games usually get played at 1 p.m. So not even a full 24 hours before the game starts, you tell DTR, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to be starting tomorrow. So I don't know, maybe go over your playbook a little bit. What? A developmental quarterback? That's how you treat him? How's that developing the quarterback when he don't even know that he's starting until the day before, until a few hours before he's supposed to start? That's when he finds out that he's starting? That is ridiculous. What type of head coaching preparation is that? How are you organized? How are you prepared when your starting quarterback doesn't know that he's starting until the day before he's starting? What sense does that make? It makes no sense. And this is not, I'm not making this stuff up. If you followed the Browns, everything that I'm saying is 100% factual. Even though it's personal information, it's 100% factual. You could just look it up, and all these reports, they exist. I'm sorry. So the mishandling of DTR, that was the first rookie developmental quarterback. You mishandled him. Okay, you did him terribly, and we wonder why he looked so bad. Well, a lot of time he didn't even know he was starting until the game got ready to start. It's like, oh, run out there, DTR. He like, huh, me? Oh, I'm starting? Oh, all right, let me get my helmet, coach, my bad. Like, what? You expect him to be successful? I highly doubt it. Not only that, but when in the 2024 season, when you did, this was before you committed to Jameis Winston. You had put DTR out there. You had bumped him up. So all the time, DTR had been the third string quarterback. But then when Watson got hurt and you played the two quarterbacks, Winston looked at the better of the two, but the following week you decided to go with DTR. Excuse me, mind you, Winston had already looked the better of the two, but you decided to go with DTR, saying that he gave you the best chance to win. DTR went out there, stunk it up through 3 interceptions, and then the next week you went with Jameis Winston. And for me, I was like, okay, well, but we saw DTR struggling the game before, and Winston looked better. So why didn't you just go with Winston to begin with? Why did you go with DTR when Winston clearly looked better? What is your assessment of quarterbacks? Winston clearly looked better than DTR, but you just decided to go with DTR anyway. He jumped Winston on the depth chart. How? When his play did not suggest that he should be over Jameis Winston. That's absolutely ridiculous. He did it again later in his tenure. We're gonna bring it up. Bonehead play calls. I've already talked about the reverse with Deshaun Watson as your lead blocker, him fresh off shoulder surgery. The 4th and 1 jet sweep with Cedric Tillman. The people on the red, like the 92.3 The Fan, the people who defended you the most, even they were making fun of your jet sweep with Cedric Tillman, saying that it brought back shades of 1 and 31 with Hugh Jackson. And this is my thing. Nothing that you ever do should be compared to Hugh Jackson or Freddie Kitchens, because they're notoriously known as the worst head coaches, not in Browns history, but possibly in the entire NFL. So you should never, nothing that you ever do should be compared to them. Nothing that you ever do should be compared to them. And that's the type of, these are the type of plays, I mean, just inexplicably that you would be running. Like, there's just weird plays that you run, man, and weird opportunity where you come up with stuff where you had a tight end taking a snap under center, and the tight end fumbles the ball. You know, you used to take Deshaun Watson out and put Jameis Winston in just to run quarterback sneak. Like, you would just come up with some of the weirdest, you know, the weirdest play calls, man, and at some of the weirdest times too. You're also passive aggressive. Sometimes you go for it on 4th down no matter what it is. Other times when you feel like you should go for it on 4th down, you don't. You even punt it from like the 30-yard line or something instead of kicking a field goal. To the point where people thought you had a parlay in or something. Because you punted from the 30-something yard line instead of kicking the field goal. You punted the ball. You punted. This is crazy. You punted. Or when people took, you know, when you was down 14 in the 4th quarter, and then Shador drove y'all down, you scored the touchdown, and instead of just kicking the extra point and being down by 7, or you decided to jump the gun and go for 2. Over the analytics say that you should go for 2 there. But then, literally the next week, the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, in the exact same situation, did not go for 2. And Dan Campbell is the most going for 2 person that you ever seen in your life. But in that moment, he knew it was smarter to keep the game available, to keep the game alive. Let me just kick this extra point, keep the game alive, and then I'll decide on the last one if I want to go for 2 or not, if I want to go for the 2 and the win or not. But I'm not finna take it out of my hands this early. Let me just keep my team in the game. We're finna kick this extra point and keep going. So the bonehead play calls are endless. I don't want, because I already spent a lot of time. I don't want to keep going through, but the bonehead play calls, they're there. I mean, it's endless amounts of bonehead play calls. Then the contradiction of the quarterbacks. So here's the thing. There's only a couple arguments that they say about Kevin being a good coach. 2-time head coach of the year, and he won with 5 different, he took the team to the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks, okay? Oh, this guy's got to be great. He has success with 5 different quarterbacks. Look at this. He's had success with all these different quarterbacks. That's what they used to tell us, right? But then when he's not successful, they turn around and tell us, well, he's not successful because he hasn't had his quarterback. So which one is it? Is it he can be successful with all of these different quarterbacks and lead a team to the playoffs with multiple quarterbacks? Or is it the only way he can be successful is if he has his quarterback? Which one is it? Because when you tell us, well, he's 2-time head coach of the year, remember he took to the playoffs with all them different quarterbacks. Okay, so why can't he do it again then? If that wasn't a fluke and that was his coaching, why can't he do it again? Why wasn't he able to do it again then? If that's the case, then don't use, well, he did it with 5 different quarterbacks. But then turn around and say, well, he can't win because he doesn't have his quarterback. Well, I thought he was winning with P.J. Walker and Bailey Zappi and Jacoby Brissett and all of these other weird quarterbacks that we didn't have. I thought he was winning with them. I thought he was having success with them. That's what you told us. When in reality, no, he wasn't. He was being saved by defense and great kicking. That's what was essentially winning them games. Great defense. And Dustin Hopkins had a phenomenal year just to turn around and have an absolutely terrible year the following year in 2024. He had a terrible year. So bad that it started 2025, we had to get rid of him and then go with Andre Schmidt. So you were getting saved by the defense and kicking. That's what was helping win them games in 2023. You didn't have quarterbacks out there lighting it up. P.J. Walker went out there lighting it up. I think he threw 2 interceptions in that game. He beat the 49ers. He wasn't out there dropping bombs. You just barely won that game. Just barely. Like how you won a lot of the games that year in 2023. You just barely won. It wasn't like you was kicking nobody's butt. It wasn't happening. And your quarterbacks was throwing interceptions. They was throwing picks left and right, man. So it wasn't like your offense was just cooking, like your passing game was just cooking. Like, no, it wasn't. It never was. I went through that in the statistical argument why you're not good. The best your offense has ever been was mid. The best your offense has ever been is the middle of the pack. Statistically. That ain't just me saying that. That's the status with the stats show, bruh. And that's with all of your different quarterbacks. So you can't blame it on one specific quarterback. So again, and not only that, my thing is this. They say, well, he hasn't had his quarterback. Well, how many do you need? How many quarterbacks do you need to go through to find your quarterback? I'm not understanding that. So we're just supposed to keep going through a million quarterbacks? At some point, man, you should be able to find a guy and work with him. Sean Payton, Bo Nix ain't the best quarterback in the world, but Sean Payton finds a way to work with him. I'm sorry, Bo Nix is not just this world beater of a quarterback. But somehow, Sean Payton is over there finding ways to win games with Bo Nix, a guy who was in college for 7 years. So somehow, Sean Payton is finding a way to win these games with Bo Nix. Mind you, they also had a bad contract over there with Russell Wilson. They're not crying over spilled milk. We can't win because we did the Russell Wilson trade and we gave away all this money in these picks. So that's why the organization is trash. No, they didn't cry over spilled milk. Sean Payton was like, hey, look, get Russell Wilson butt out of here. I'm going to get my quarterback that I want and watch me win. And that's what he did. That's precisely what he did. But then when you look at Kevin Stefanski, let's get into it, handpicked Dillon Gabriel. That was your guy. That's your guy. And for people who want us, because all up until Dillon Gabriel was just definitively trash, all the way up until then, people had no problem with saying that Dillon Gabriel was Kevin's pick. And just listen to the way Kevin talked about him. He called him a supercomputer. A supercomputer. And I went through this and I said the only quarterback that I would ever be comfortable calling a supercomputer is Peyton Manning. That's it. But for sure not a rookie quarterback. You call him a supercomputer? And I said if I was Dillon Gabriel, I would have went to Kevin in his office and I'd have been like, hey, bro, you got to walk that back. Yeah, don't be out here calling me no supercomputer. Because the first time that I miss a throw or miss a read, guess what they finna say about me? Oh, look at the supercomputer failing. Look at the supercomputer couldn't boot up the right way. This is exactly what they about to be saying about me, bro. So that supercomputer comment that you make, you need to walk that back. You putting expectations on me that don't need to be on me. I'm a rookie and you calling me a supercomputer? What are you doing? Where are we getting this stuff? A supercomputer? Then not only that, he gets out there and he's not a supercomputer. He's intentionally grounding the ball from his own end zone, throwing the ball to nobody. And then pointing like it was somebody there and it's nobody there. That's not a supercomputer. Not only that, he doesn't have any of the physical attributes. You just love the fact that he was the super processor and you feel like he could process your offense. And then come to find out, like, no. And even when he does process the offense, it don't score no points. So what good do it do to process this offense? And it still ain't scoring. It's still not generating no points. So what good do it do to process this offense like that? Not to mention, the same way that you misjudged the assessment of DTR and Jameis Winston and who should have been the starting quarterback at that time, you also misjudged Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders because you didn't want Shedeur. You handpicked Dillon Gabriel. So you were destined to prove that Dillon Gabriel was the better of the two quarterbacks. You were destined to prove that. We know for a fact if it hadn't been for Dillon Gabriel getting concussed, Shedeur wouldn't have been on the field. He wouldn't have been playing. Especially not as much as he was. He wouldn't have been playing. He didn't see the field until you didn't have a choice but to play him. Because Andrew Berry traded Joe Flacco because you had Joe Flacco looking like hot dog water. Because for all the people who said, oh, it was Deshaun Watson's fault. It's all Deshaun Watson. He's so terrible. He can't throw. He can't do anything. He's so terrible. Just get him out of the building. Just him being in the building makes the team lose. They lose just because Deshaun Watson is in the building. So we scrapped the Deshaun Watson stuff. Scrapped at Deshaun Watson trying to fit his offense. We went back to your offense and your zone blocking schemes and all this other crap. We got your guy, Joe Flacco, 2023 Magic. We got him. And you handpicked Dylan Gabriel and drafted him. You put Flacco in there. Flacco looked like hot dog water. Flacco leaves, goes to the Bengals, and in 10 days, that is not exaggerating. It was literally 10 days. Flacco over there with the Bengals with Zach Taylor, and he looks like a completely different quarterback. He throwing the ball all over the yard. Meanwhile, here he couldn't throw the ball past 5 yards. Over there, he throwing the ball all over the place. He looked like a completely different player. He looked like the Joe Flacco from 2023 and continued to look like that. But somehow, when he was with you, Kevin, he couldn't look like that with the zone blocking schemes and your offense and, because your offense is so great. But somehow, Flacco was looking trash in it. So then, all right, well, you know what? We trade Flacco because you benched him, Kevin. You benched Joe Flacco. You benched him. So if you didn't want him traded or you still felt like he had something in the tank, you shouldn't have benched him. You benched him. So then Andrew Berry was like, all right, well, I guess we don't need him no more then. Let's get him up out of here. You benched him. And then from what I heard, the word was Berry called Joe Flacco and was like, hey, look, the Bengals trying to make a move because Burrow down. What's up? And then Flacco was like, and again, this is the word on how it went. Flacco was like, well, Kevin done already put me on the bench, so clearly I ain't starting here. So if I got a chance to go over there and start and play, well, let's do it. And AB was like, all right, well, let's do it then. And respectfully, why not? You benched him. When you bench somebody, that's saying that he ain't good enough. So if he ain't good enough, what's wrong with trading him? Let's get him up out of here and get some draft picks because we need draft picks, right? We need them draft picks, right? So let's get him up out of here and get some draft picks. Okay? Let's do that. Another guy that was supposed to be good, Kenny Pickett. He couldn't even beat out Geno Smith. That's another guy that Kevin loved. Kevin and the Browns, the people in the Browns organization, they love Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was so great, but he can't beat out Geno Smith. So anyway, fast forward to Dylan Gabriel. We finally get to Dylan Gabriel, the supercomputer, the super processor. Okay, he get out there and he looks super mid. Okay, in the first game he looked super mid, but it was okay enough to give him another star. Unfortunately, he went from looking super mid to looking worse and worse each game up under your watch, Kevin Stefanski. And mind you, this is the supercomputer. Like this is what you dubbed him, the supercomputer. And he looked worse every time he went out there. He looked more and more and more terrible, to the point where Buddy got concussed, and then you had to put Shedeur in the game. Mind you, you hadn't given the kid and mind you, this is malpractice. I don't care what anybody says. They love to say, well, no backup gets first team reps. And it's been documented that Shannon Sharpton came out and said that every place he's been, that the backup always gets a couple reps. Cam Newton came out and said that when Derek Anderson was backing him up, that he would always get, a few reps, maybe 5 to 7 reps at the end of each, practice period with the ones, you know what I'm saying, just in case something would happen to the starter and then this guy gets thrust into the game. And then here's more contradiction. So we used, again, mind you, Dylan Gabriel was getting first team reps the whole time. The entire time, Dylan Gabriel was getting first team reps. As the backup, as the third string, he was getting first team reps. Okay? But then somehow, all of a sudden, backups don't get. Well, then why was Dylan Gabriel getting them then? Make it make sense. Why was Dylan Gabriel getting reps then? Why? I don't understand. At one point, you had Shedeur throwing on an opposite field from the rest of the team, throwing the equipment staff and people like that. How is that developing a quarterback? And if that is developing a quarterback, well, why didn't you have Dylan Gabriel doing that to develop him as well? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. So, again, you wasn't giving any reps to Shedeur because, Dylan's a rookie, so he needs all of the reps because he's a rookie. Well, so is Shedeur. So, wait a minute. Dylan can't be successful unless he has all the reps. But you expect Shedeur to be successful if he's thrust into the game with no reps? That's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Not only that, he wouldn't even say Shedeur's name. So, like, for all the people, you're stupid if you think Kevin doesn't like you. You know, you're just saying that. You're a Shadurian. Keep saying Stefanski doesn't like Shadur. You don't know that. Well, listen here, man. If somebody won't even say your name, like Kevin could have put all of that to bed, but he chose not to. He could have put all of that to bed. The same way that I just played that clip of him talking about David Njoku. Well, David thought that I didn't like him at first, but it's because I told him the truth and he didn't like it. And then, you know, eventually he becomes a leader and blah, 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 and he say all this positive stuff about him. Why wouldn't you do that with Shador? Why wouldn't you do that with him? You could have put all that negativity and all of this swirling stuff, you could have put all that stuff to bed. You could have just deflected from all, you could have put all that stuff to bed. But the more that you wouldn't acknowledge Shador, the more people wanted to ask about it. You gaslit it. You gaslit it. Because the more people, that was clear as what was happening. The more that people asked about it, the more you shied away. The more people asked directly about Shador, the more you wanted to talk about Dylan Gabriel. And we like, why won't you even just say the kid name? Just say Shador. Can you say it? Are you not able to pronounce it? Is that what you're scared of? Pronouncing it wrong? I don't know. So again, man, like when it comes to person relationships and just making good decisions and, you know, being that relatable head coach or that guy or that leader of men, that's not Stefanski. So respectfully, man, and just because video's getting long here, believe me, I'm going to have much more time to dive much more deeper pause into this entire thing. I'm so ecstatic that Kevin is finally up out of here so we can start making changes, real changes that needed to be made and become a successful winning football team going forward. But hey, man, for all of the people who are like, Kevin's a great coach and he'll get another job, well, it's on the clock. He should have another job already because he was fired a couple hours ago now. So he should have a job. He should have another job already. I don't understand. Maybe I got to look at my phone and Twitter. The Giants should have been and picked him up already by now from what everybody has said. And not only that, this is my thing. For all other, for whatever future team does get him, congratulations on getting a coach that's going to make sure that your team going to lead the league in pre-snap penalties, be top 10 in the league every year in penalties, probably lead the league in turnovers and interceptions. He's going to play around with your quarterbacks. You'll be lucky if he says the quarterback's name because it depends on if he likes him or not. He may not even say the quarterback's name. He's going to deflect in every press conference. Every time you lose, he's going to say, we got to get better. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. We got to be better. We got to do better. And then you're not going to get better. He's going to bench people like Wyatt Teller for inexplicable reasons. See, that's more stuff that I didn't even get to. You're going to bench Wyatt Teller for inexplicable reasons. Mind you played Jedrick Wills for years upon years upon years, and he was trash, but somehow you hold Wyatt Teller accountable, but you don't hold Bubba Ventrone. I don't get it. I don't get it. A head coach who's always going to scapegoat everyone else is going to be the offensive coordinator's fault. It's going to be the defensive coordinator's fault. A guy who's going to call boneheaded plays on 4th and short. He's going to take your star running back out of the game on 4th and short and 3rd and short. Just the list goes on of ridiculous stuff that this guy is going to do. So for whatever team gets him, congratulations, man. I 100% wish y'all the best on your journey with Mr. Analytical, 2-time head coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski. As far as the Cleveland Browns, this marks a new day. I have been preaching for this. I have been lobbying for this. I have wanted this for so long. I've wanted this longer than anyone else. I wanted him fired in 2020. That's right. That's the year we hired him. I wanted him fired then after the Jets game, Monday night, December 20th, I believe it was. I wanted him fired then, okay? I wanted him fired then. Thank goodness we finally got here. What I would like for the Browns to do now, please, let's not bring in another analytical guy. I don't think Mike McDaniels is as bad as Kevin Stefanski, but I'm tired of the analytics. Let's get a football guy in here, okay? Let's get a football guy, okay? I'm going to get the Dan Campbells, the Mike Tomlins, the John Harbaughs, the Brian Flores, names like that. let's get a football guy in here. Let's get somebody in here that doesn't need a specific quarterback in order to be successful. Let's get a guy in here that says, hey, look, I'm going to take this quarterback and I'm going to work with whatever he got until I could get my hands on another, quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But it's not, well, I can't win until I get the exact quarterback that I need. No, I need a coach that's able to win with what he has. And I don't mean you got to win playoffs. I just mean win more than 3 games. Win more than 5 games. That's the only thing I'm saying. I've seen these other coaches do it. Where, for example, the Baltimore Ravens, injuries, all year long, in and out, in and out, in and out. Some quarterback that they won a couple games with Snoop Huntley, with Tyler Huntley. They won some games with him. So somehow Harbaugh was able to win enough games to be competitive to where at least the last game that they played in the season, it was a chance to win the division. That feels a whole lot better, man, than the only thing we playing for is a sack record for Myles Garrett, which he got. Thank goodness. Way to go, Myles Garrett. At least the season wasn't all for naught. Okay, so we'll see how this story ends up developing. I'm pretty sure there'll be more stuff that comes out, more noise that comes out. Now that Kevin's gone, we'll start to find out more specific things about who was in charge of what, who did what, all those kinds of things. Can't wait to see how it goes moving forward, but the victory lap shall be taken. I'm getting ready to go put my jogging suit on right now and hit the block. Dogs on the couch, signing off.